My name is Lorenzo Catapane,
My name is Ben Catapane.
and we are the sons of Dr. Jerry Catapane.
Our father requested that we present his proposal to make us aware of the issue and that there are possible solutions to the immigration problem in America.
Please allow us to present Dr. Catapane's proposed solution to the United States immigration problem.
Solution to the United States immigration problem by Dr. Jerry Catapane. Can the U.S. immigration problem be solved? Yes, it can be solved. I believe that. 3 things to consider. Number 1, the government. Number 2, the undocumented migrant. Number 3, the under-the-table employers. Let us explore.
The problem. 1. The United States has an excellent immigration law and a strict legal process for a migrant to be a legal immigrant and or a naturalized U.S. citizen. My dad personally went through the legal route, so he can personally attest to it. A brief information about the legal process to share. The problem is there was a lack of implementation of the law. Otherwise, there would be less or no undocumented migrants in the United States. 2. Undocumented migrants enter the U.S. illegally, or they entered the U.S. legally, but they overstayed illegally. They violated the immigration law. 3. There are U.S. employers who harbored and or utilized the services of undocumented migrants. They are violating the immigration law. 4. The undocumented migrants who work illegally are violating U.S. employment and tax laws. 5. These employers who hired undocumented migrants are not just violating the U.S. employment and tax law. They are also abusing the undocumented migrants by not providing the lawful wage and the employee benefits. 6. The undocumented migrants are underpaid with no benefits. 7. Illegal immigration costs more than $200 billion a year. 8. The United States is still facing a big challenge in protecting its borders. The proposed border wall of our president could be an external solution that can help in the implementation of the immigration law. However, the fact still remains, we are still financially bleeding internally because of the problems just stated above, costing our government hundreds of billions of dollars every year.
Example of a legal immigration process. Dad can personally share the strict legal immigration process. He went through the legal system from having a tourist visa to becoming a U.S. citizen. Tourist visa. It's not easy to get a tourist visa. The individual or family applying to visit the U.S. has to show all financial assets to prove a planned return to the home country should the visa be approved. Proof of financial capability to support self or family while in the U.S. is also necessary to allow entry to America. More requirements like employment, etc., to convince the U.S. consul that there is no desire to illegally overstay in the U.S. during the home visit. The U.S. tourist visa holder is only given 1 to 6 months to visit and stay upon entry. An extension up to a maximum of 1 year can be requested. This can, however, be a red flag for re-entry denial when returning to the U.S. It's illegal for tourists to work during the allowable stay. Tourist visa to a work visa. It's not easy to avail of a work visa. There are only certain fields that are open for international workers. An employer has to petition and sponsor the worker. Most importantly, the visa sponsoring employer is required to prove to U.S. immigration that an attempt to hire a U.S. citizen or a resident for at least 6 months has been done prior to the hiring of an overseas worker. This is called labor attestation to protect U.S. citizens and legal residents. A work visa holder can only work for one sponsor. A co-sponsor is possible, but it's another process. Work visa to a legal permanent resident, also known as green card. A work visa holder without being out of status can be approved for a legal permanent resident, commonly called a green card. An applicant could not be out of status to be approved, meaning there is no single day of an illegal stay while working in the U.S. Yes, that is how the strict law is. This immigration gap or out of status situation can can usually happen when a work visa extension application is not done on time. The legal immigrant permanent resident process can take 2 to 5 years or even more depending on the allowable quotas for the country where the applicant is originally from. A green card holder has no voting rights and still can be deported when found guilty of a felony crime. Legal permanent resident to naturalized citizen. After becoming a legal permanent resident for at least 5 years, a green card holder is eligible to apply for U.S. citizenship. The applicant has to denounce the country of citizenship to become a naturalized U.S. citizen. Later on, the naturalized U.S. citizen can apply for dual citizenship should both the U.S. and the country of origin have agreement like
Can
so.
the U.S. immigration problem ever be solved? By focusing on the potential solutions and not being stuck to the problems and issues, the immigration problem can be solved. There is a way to overcome the U.S. immigration challenge. The problem can be solved when the government, undocumented migrant, and under-the-table employers would all agree they had their own shortcomings. The government was lax in implementing the law and protecting its borders. Both the undocumented migrant and under-the-table employers took advantage of the government's laxity and violated the laws of the government. Realizing they were all at fault and compromising to a new process can solve the immigration problem. Again, realizing they, the government, the undocumented migrant, and the employer, were all at fault and compromising to a new process can solve the immigration problem. They all have to compromise because everybody wins with this proposed solution.
The proposed solution, a new immigration process, a solution to the U.S. immigration problem. Stage 1, proposed solution by Dr. Jerry Catapang. Establishment of a Citizen and Legal Immigrant Card Center, also known as CLICC, and the government issuance of citizenship and legal immigration card as a form of ID and as a requirement for employment and government benefits. These CLICC cards would include, number 1, a U.S. citizen card, number 2, an immigrant card, and number 3, a permission to work card. Other legal immigrant cards, such as work visa, student visa, etc., allows the visa holder to legally work. Note, the solution will be able to separate the citizens and legal immigrants from the undocumented migrants.
Stage 2, proposed solution number 2 by Dr. Jerry Catapang. Establishment of a new legal immigration process for undocumented migrants and can be called Pre-Immigrant Compromise Agreement, or PICA. By definition, PICA is a compromise agreement among the U.S. government, undocumented migrant, and the U.S. employers who utilize the services of undocumented migrants. So here's how PICA works. Government announces, for example, a 6-month open enrollment for undocumented migrant to apply for an immigrant visa or a green card. Who can apply? 1. The legal age undocumented migrant for self. 2. A family member of a legal age for family. And 3. An employer of the undocumented migrant. PICA requirements and the compromise of undocumented migrant and employer. 1. The voluntary PICA application during the open enrollment. 2. Agrees to pay $500 PICA application fee. 3. Agrees to pay $7,500, and this fee can be called, for example, government inconvenience and burden fee, to qualify for an immigrant visa. Payments can be in loan to PICA up to a 5-year term. Is the ballpark $7,500 fee a fair cost? Yes, it is. It's the same ballpark figure that an undocumented migrant had to pay anyways for legal fees, and the lawyers have no guarantees to an approved immigrant visa. 4. Employer agrees to pay half of the fees should he apply for the undocumented migrant. 5. Should the undocumented migrant decide to go back home to their country during the PICA application process, he or she is eligible to have a 20% off For example, off the inconvenience and burden fee. The reasoning behind this is because some undocumented migrants are longing to see their families and return to their home country during the process of the application. The time duration they are not in the U.S., the government is lowering the immigration problem expense, so it is a win-win for both sides. The government's compromise. 1 is to expedite the PICA application process not to exceed 2 years. For example, 2, to waive all the penalties and legalities attached to the violations should the undocumented migrant or employer apply for PICA during the enrollment window.
Stage 3, proposed solution by Dr. Jerry Catapig. Government requires all employers to submit a list of their employees and a copy of the citizen card, immigration card, and a permission to work card. This requirement can be applicable 1 year, for example, after the Stage 2 is implemented. Stage 3 is more strict implementation of the law and is a solution to the problem.
Stage 4, strict implementation of the immigration law. After the implementation of stages 1 to 3, the government can now filter the citizens and documented immigrants from the undocumented migrants.
Would this proposal solve the U.S. immigration problem? The proposed solution has good potential, but is only a part and a parcel of a bigger solution. It can, however, be a guide and an outline so we can finally solve the immigration problem of our country. America is a land of opportunity. The proposed solution would allow the under-the-table employers to save their business. When caught by the government from all their violations, they can lose their business. They also have to face all the legal consequences attached to the violations. This is an opportunity for them to make things right. The proposed solution would allow the undocumented migrant to live legally and freely in the United States. This is an opportunity for them to regain their dignity and to live the American dream in a legal way. When caught by the government, they are deported. They also have to face all the legal consequences attached to the violations. This is an opportunity for them to make things right. The proposed solution would allow our government to create almost $200 billion from the pickup fees instead of spending over $200 billion a year on this immigration problem. That would be $400 billion that the government can utilize for its other good purpose. The implementation of the proposed solution would not only reduce our government's financial burden every year by hundreds of billions of dollars, but would also give our country an opportunity to gain tax revenues from the reformed employers and migrants. This is an opportunity for our government to make things even better with regards to implementing the good immigration laws that we already have. America is a great land of opportunity. Let it be.
Thank you for your time, and God bless America.